Hi guys, I'm Zhivko. I'm founder of EnterDAO, which is a DAO founded with the mission to build products enabling new markets within the Web3 metaverse economy. And I'm also part of LimeChain, which is a development company. Since 2017, we've been building all kinds of stuff on Ethereum and also other chains. Today we're going to talk about building products in a DAO-first way. We'll start with what it means, what's the difference between building products in a more centralized way and decentralizing later, and also give you some in-practice insights of how that works and some insights from some of the projects that we've been involved in over the past 1 year, and of course from EnterDAO. So first and foremost, obviously, GM to everyone, or bom dia. GM. DAO-first means that a DAO is launched and sometimes more often than not funded before the core product of a project is even built. And there's a great article by Kane from Synthetics called Raising Capital or DAO-first Capital Formation, which is great and I highly recommend it. DAO-first, launch a DAO-first, build the products. After the DAO is launched, the community gets to have a say in the whole process. So there's constant feedback from the community. But more importantly, the community gets to have an upside from day one, in most cases through the token of the DAO. On the other hand, DAO later, build the products first, decentralize later, community gets rewarded retrospectively. We're quite familiar with this model. We've seen most of the bigger projects, Compound, Uniswap, etc. They build the products, amass users, and as they grow, they decentralize progressively. So they launch a DAO afterwards, do retrospective airdrops, etc. The goal of this presentation is not to convince everyone that you should go DAO first. It just provides an insight of what DAO first means and how it works. And there's obviously pros and cons to both. There are pros to going DAO first, and there are pros to going DAO later and decentralizing at a later stage. The pros of going DAO first, obviously the whole project is decentralized from day one or somewhat decentralized, meaning that, why somewhat? Because obviously in the beginning the founders and the investors hold most of the governance power anyway, and as the project grows, the governance gets progressively more decentralized. But DAO first also means community first, meaning that the core community gets to have a say and upside on the products that the DAO is building. This also means that the community is more engaged and provides both feedback and kind of like its own marketing, just because they have like upside on the whole thing. And last but not least, obviously DAO-first, everything that we're building is open source, meaning that you don't have to spend months building a DAO or the tooling around it. You can take, there's like different governance models that you can take. You can take the Compound style of governance. We're using the Barnbridge style of governance called abrogation. So there are different models, and all of this is open source, so you can pick and choose and go with whatever you like. But DAO-first also has its cons. Somewhat decentralized from day one means that you're expected to act and behave and get governed like a DAO from day one. So the community should be involved in everything, and this sometimes can have an impact on the speed of decision making. And when you're building products and you want to go to market as fast as you can, this could be a factor. With DAO-first also comes token first, meaning that the project has a token, whether it's a governance token or utility token from day one. And this could be a distraction. Like we all know that every community is full of degens. There's a lot of noise, and this could be a big distraction. And also if you have, let's say, a new yield farming program that we're going to talk about later, this can also affect the token price. And while it's easy to, for me, it's somewhat easy to focus on building and basically detached from all the token noise, this could be a distraction for many people. And last but not least, even though everything is open source, you still need to build a DAO. Like, you can take something, of course, but you still need to build a front end, a UI, and adapt it. So it will take, for us, it took like 2 or 3 weeks of development just to set up the DAO, the staking module, and everything. So it still takes a bit of time, and this usually means taking time from developing the core product. How does this work in practice? So we've been involved with, before EnterDAO, we've been involved in a bunch of projects that are using the same model or framework that I'm going to talk a bit in bigger detail. Barnbridge, Universe, EnterDAO, and most recently LeakDAO. Barnbridge is a gigabrain DeFi project that basically does fixed income derivatives for hedging market risk. Universe is a decentralized NFT marketplace, and EnterDAO, we're building 2 products for the metaverse economy, a land marketplace and a Steam-like product for Web3 games even before. We started building this before Valve banned Web3 games, so it's kind of great timing for us. And LeakDAO is a decentralized fantasy sport platform, and the common thing between all these 4 projects is that they use the same DAO module. In most cases, it's the same code with minor tweaks. So it's essentially the same framework that I'm going to talk about, and it has worked quite well. We've amassed like a substantial community, and so have the other projects. Like Barnbridge is the oldest of these projects. It's 1 year old, and has 2 or 3 products out there in DeFi that are actually bringing real value. And across all these 4 projects, I think there has been like $1 billion in yield farming volume in total. So how does this work? Launch DAO and funding. What we do is, in our case, we've set up a launch DAO in Aragon to get the whole thing funded. From that point on, and basically get the initial community. From that point on, we set up yield farming and the DAO, the public DAO. So launch DAO is kind of like the seed DAO that is queued at a later stage. We built a DAO module and a yield farming program to onboard key communities. In our case, like Enter is working on metaverse stuff, so we're having yield farming programs with some gaming or Web3 metaverse tokens like Decentraland, Axie, Sandbox, and a bunch of others, Illuvium, etc., etc. We've also, to get the token in the hands of the community, in addition to the yield farming, we've incentivized liquidity on a DEX, in our case Sushi, but in other cases there could also be a token sale or LBP on Balancer, which I think is a great way. We just haven't done it because we've decided not to go the token sale route, mostly for legal reasons. Or for the sake of speed, because like it takes time to set up the legal structure properly, etc. And there's obviously, in addition to the yield farming, there's a DAO staking module and an activation threshold, which means that people can stake their tokens in the DAO, and there's a threshold. In our case, is 5% of the token supply. I'm going to provide a screenshot later. But there's like a 5% of the total supply which needs to be staked in order for the public DAO to be activated. Which means that once it's activated, like for the smart contract, the treasury is then transferred to the DAO. People can start governance proposals, and we get the whole governance wheel spinning. And last but not least, and while all this is happening, we're obviously building our products. And the great thing is that the community gets to have a say in everything. 2 quick screenshots. So this is how the yield farming looks like. I don't think this is crucially important for any project, so just sharing it. But I think this is more important, which is basically the governance module. And you can see that there is a activation threshold. Once it reaches the amount to be staked, then the DAO is activated, and the community gets to govern everything. This project, not this project, but this framework obviously is not perfect as any other framework. We're still in very early stages of DAOs and Web3s, but we've seen that it works with certain degree of success with all the projects that we mentioned. There are a couple of fundamental flaws that we've experienced and could be improved for anyone that wants to basically adopt this framework or tweak it. First and foremost, there has been proven to be a disconnect between the yield farming and the DAO staking, which means that on the one hand, it's great to have a yield farming program to basically distribute the token in the community. On the other hand, this could have like a negative impact on the token. For example, there are a lot of people that are just in for the farming. For example, in our case, which had like people depositing $23 million in sushi tokens, stake them for a couple weeks, get out, dump our tokens, and that's about it. So there's obviously a disconnect, and there are mechanisms that can be used to basically incentivize staking the DAO in a better way directly from the farming. And the second thing is that we've obviously mentioned that we decided to incentivize liquidity just for the sake of speed and not having the legal headache, but I think that a liquidity bootstrapping pool could be a better way of getting the token in the hands of the community if a project decides to do a token sale. That's about it. I'm happy to answer any questions if you guys have, and if not, we can just move on. All right, thank you guys. I appreciate the time.